as you're studying geology and as you're looking down into the earth, what evidences do you see for a global flood? The Bible talks about this flood, that was obviously covered all the mountains. There was no mountaintops anywhere that could be seen. This was a worldwide flood. It wasn't a local flood.
Yeah.
Even before I, became a believer in Scripture, growing up as a Hindu, within Hindu theology, there's stories of a worldwide flood.
It's a very common story around the world. I got another picture actually from the National Park Service. There's a sliver in the bottom of all that over to the right. That's the Grand Canyon. And this is a large area. You have to drive several hours in car to get from the right side of this to the left side of this. And you can see all these vast flat layers with these flat contacts in between the layers. All of that stuff got laid down one layer after the other, and it just doesn't look like much time passed in the deposition. It doesn't look like much time passed between the layers. And then of course it got washed out after it got deposited. And so you have a flood depositing lots of material and then receding water carrying a lot of that material away. See, this is a close-up picture I took of one of the contacts. And what's interesting is that there's that brown kind of laminated material at the bottom, and there's the lighter sandstone up above that. And there's supposed to be 15 to 40 million years of time in between those two layers. But you can't find that time. There's no evidence for the time in the actual rocks. The evidence for the time is in those other clocks that I mentioned previously. When you actually look at the rocks, you don't see the time. There's no plant roots, there's no streams running through it, there's no worms burrowing. Sometimes we find some worms burrowing, not like you'd expect though, not like what happens in the modern environment.
So what is that ultimately communicating then to us?
So some of these layers, you can see evidence of catastrophic deposition as well. So this is the Grand Canyon, and I put some yellow arrows pointing to a layer that we call the Tapete sandstone. And that Tapete sandstone covers a lot of North America, and even very similar sandstones cover other parts of the world. And that sandstone has boulders the size of cars in it in certain places. So think about how much energy it would take to move a boulder the size of a car. That's the energy that was involved in the deposition of this layer. And so we have these vast layers catastrophically deposited quickly, one on top of the other.
Wow, so it seems to have been done rapidly.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other evidences you see in geology regarding a worldwide flood?
When we look at, so there are indicators in the rocks of which direction the water was flowing when it laid the rock down. And when we put, a friend of mine put like a million data points together, and then when he put all that data together, you can see arrows about which direction the water was flowing. And you would expect, water always flows downhill, right? But when you do this for these layers of the geologic record, you see like continental flow patterns back and forth across the continents. Very easy to explain in a worldwide flood, very difficult to explain any other way.